Welcome to What's Trending, your go-to podcast for staying informed about what's trending in the ever-evolving landscape of Westchester and beyond. We are your hosts, Amanda DePalma, Senior Vice President of Events and Development, and Dr. Marsha Gordon, President and CEO of the Business Council of Westchester.
On today's episode, we're talking about what's trending in leadership, corporate boards, and professional development, from AI and cybersecurity to tariffs and so much more. Boardrooms are facing a growing list of challenges, but there's also incredible opportunity for leaders, for innovators, and for professionals looking to make an impact. Joining us today are two incredible guests, Alyssa Gelbard, founder and CEO of Point Road Group, and Helaine Suval, founder and president of Suval Consultants. Both are leaders in the Private Directors Association and bring deep insights in what it takes to lead today. What's Trending is sponsored by Thompson & Bender. Thank you for your support of the BCW Podcast Network.
Looking for unparalleled success in PR and marketing? Look no further than Thompson & Bender, the leader in strategic communications. With over 30 years of expertise, they've mastered everything from PR and advertising to social media and event marketing, ensuring their clients' success. Recognized with awards like the Business Council of Westchester Hall of Fame, City and State Power 100, and voted Best in Westchester for advertising, public relations, and social media by 914 Inc., their track record speaks for itself. Join the ranks of clients from Fortune 500 corporations, small businesses, educational and healthcare institutions, and many more who've benefited from their innovative strategies. Trust Thompson & Bender to elevate your brand to new heights. Welcome, Alyssa and Helaine. Thank you so much for being here. To kick this off, let's have you each tell us a little bit about yourselves and your business. Helaine, you want to start?
Sure. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you for inviting me to be part of this podcast. So I wear two hats. I'm the president and founder of Suval Consultants. We provide advisory services to the C-suite, covering omni-channel digital business strategies, focusing on customer centricity, and really helping to drive long-term sustainable growth for retailers and brands, from startups to mid-market to legacy companies. I'm also a managing director with Golden Seeds, which is a network of angel investors committed to investing in early stage companies funded and or led by women.
Oh, incredible work. Thank you. Alyssa?
Hi, and thank you for having me as well. I am the founder and CEO of Point Road Group. We are an employee and an executive branding firm and proud BCW member. We help companies essentially stop losing opportunities they don't realize they're losing because of their people. So how the CEO, the intern, board directors, and everyone in between communicates and engages influences someone's interest in doing business with you, referring business, remaining a customer, working at your company. And so through training and coaching, we help them become better communicators, stronger brand ambassadors, and effective leaders. We also work with individual executives to help them strengthen their brands as they're looking for their leadership role or board seat. My background is marketing and branding, and before starting Point Road Group 10 years ago already. And I'm an accidental entrepreneur, but that's a story for another episode.
I like that phrase, accidental entrepreneur. We're going to use that more often.
That's great. You know, I've had the pleasure and the honor of working with both of you. Let's talk about how you met. You both hold leadership roles with the New York chapter of the Private Directors Association. I'm a proud member of PDA myself. You are an incredible organization. You're great leaders. What are the top issues and trends you're seeing in the boardroom today? Tell us how that experience has been like, and how has it influenced your professional paths?
So I've been involved with the PDA since its inception. So when it was just a chapter in formation and they were looking for people to get involved. So I raised my hand and chaired membership because my network was business owners and executives and board directors. And that was back, there was, I think 25, 30 people. And now we're the second largest chapter. And Helaine, obviously, she'll tell you a little bit about when she joined, but she was amazing from the get-go. And then she kind of took over what I was doing. I became co-president. And then fast forward, she had an incredible impact and became co-president with me. So now we've been in this role together. As you said, PDA is terrific. Leaders are really experts, serious about their career and ongoing development, and really want to share expertise with to help other businesses grow. And it's been an incredible experience for me because I've learned, I've been able to really sharpen and grow my governance and board knowledge. It's been helpful for me personally. I sit on a number of advisory, nonprofit, and professional association boards. And it's also been helpful for me, honestly, professionally, and a few of my colleagues, too, who are PDA members in other cities, because we can provide more value to our clients from a knowledge perspective, because through PDA, and not just through the programs, but through the people, you can stay current on issues in the boardroom, things that directors are facing, what boards are looking for in candidates. Helaine?
Sure. Thank you, Lisa. I think I started out because I became an accidental board member. Consulting.
You got another new phrase.
Yes. I was consulting with a business and had put together a plan. We far exceeded the plan. And the CEO came to me and said, we'd like to consider you for our board. And I was the first outside director on the board. And I didn't have a lot of knowledge about boards at the time. So I started exploring groups that really focused on board knowledge and governance, and ultimately ended up serving on 3 different private equity-owned boards, but I also discovered Private Directors Association. And I joined in April of 2020 when the world had just shut down from COVID. And but people had recommended that I join PDA. And I have to say, I think Alyssa was one of the first people I met. PDA did an amazing job of pivoting during COVID and hosting all kinds of networking opportunities virtually. Alyssa was looking for volunteers for membership, so I raised my hand. We worked very closely together, and as Alyssa said, as she stepped up from membership chair, I moved into membership chair, and now we're co-presidents together. PDA is an incredibly collegial organization. I think the key to success within PDA is getting involved. If you're going to sit back and be passive, it's not going to bring all the benefits that you need. So we encourage people to get involved in membership and engagement, sponsorship, programming, and really get out and build their network. So PDA is really, for anyone interested in looking to join a board, it's all about networking, and PDA is the perfect opportunity for that.
And you also, in doing this, not only help the people looking to serve on boards, but you help the businesses and the organizations that are seeking great board members. So you really are serving the greater community and the individual professional opportunities.
Absolutely.
So given this level of activity as board leaders, what are some of those, I think Marsha touched on it a little bit earlier, but let's go a little deeper. What are those top issues and trends you're seeing in the boardroom today?
I think the number one right now everybody's talking about is AI and cyber. And in fact, I was just talking to someone, a CEO of a cybersecurity firm earlier, and they're just focusing on that together as an issue that they're consulting with boards on, not just AI and cyber, but together as one. But I think those are two of the top. I think also because of everything that's happened in this world this year, tariffs and supply chain, but related to that, then risk management, crisis management. I think those are some of the key things. Helaine, are you seeing others as well?
I'm pretty much in agreement on the topics that you just mentioned. As a matter of fact, we just posted a webinar on tariffs and supply chain in June. And in April, we had an event on AI with IBM, which is fantastic. And then we are planning a actual cybersecurity tabletop exercise in the fall. So
that sounds like fun.
Our programming very much follows the topics that are relevant to boards. I think the other area that also is just being spoken about really is compensation and incentives, and how all of that is managed as well. And we're planning a program for that in the fall as well.
So
I think one other trend that I also see, is I think boards are paying a little bit more attention now to succession planning and recruitment, whereas, it's changed over time. They're, especially private companies, which is really where my expertise lies, where they are looking at their board matrix and they're really seeing what holes they're filling and thinking about it ahead of time. So it's not a last minute thing. So they really think how to round out. And as the businesses change, what are some of the needs that they're going to anticipate having for the future? And so that's why I think succession planning has really come to the forefront, at least in the directors and boards that I've been working with over the last 6 months.
So cybersecurity and AI, compensation, tariffs, all these issues are huge challenges. What tips do you have for board members to stay current and navigate such a wide range of complex topics?
Well, obviously, it's attend PDA events, right? As Helaine was talking about. I think there's, you can read articles and talk to experts, but I think, especially from board's perspective, and if you are, for those who are serving on boards, have subject matter experts come talk to your boards for these key areas, as well as, pursuing the knowledge yourself as individuals, but also bringing it to your boards and things like, that Helaine mentioned, like a tabletop or scenario planning. Those can be really, really helpful.
Yeah, it's very, very important. Helaine?
No, I was just going to add that I think board members should be lifelong learners. I think that goes hand in hand with being a board member. And there are a lot of resources out there. PDA certainly offers resources, including certificates in cybersecurity, certificates in governance for people who don't have the kind of in-depth knowledge that they need. But I also think one of the absolute requirements for a board director today is the ability to be agile, and to be flexible. You have to be resilient. You have to be able to understand the role of really providing strategic guidance without getting your hands in. So there's a big difference. People often say noses in, fingers out when talking about boards, because you need to provide the oversight and the guidance, strategic guidance, without trying to operate the business.
We are on What's Trending, part of the BCW Podcast Network. Our guests today are Alyssa Gelbard, founder and CEO of Point Road Group, and Helaine Suval, founder and president of Suval Consultants. I'm Marsha Gordon, and my co-host is Amanda DePalma.
So some of these issues that you were just talking about that boards face, how are you seeing them show up in your day-to-day work?
Well, for us, I think AI is, it's really key to our business, and really understanding the short and long-term implications of the impact on our business and our clients as well. So I think that's really been key. Cybersecurity and, in fact, phishing. We just had an issue last week with someone trying to pose as two of my colleagues and having payroll changes. So, really staying current. So it doesn't really, for us, it doesn't matter the size of, the business. We're a small company, but we still we face a lot of the same issues that some of the larger companies and boards face too. So I would say cybersecurity and AI definitely are probably the most current, and also risk management too, as as things have changed in our world, and our things have really impacted our clients. So then that impacts us and our pipeline. So those are some of the things that, and those are the same issues that boards are facing as well.
Helaine?
So in my world, my background is clearly being retail and consumer. And so my clients and the businesses that I work with, including the startups, some of the other issues that they're facing is the whole consumer uncertainty is having a huge impact. And tariffs and supply chain very clearly impact businesses. When you think about going into the holiday season and you think about how many toys are made in Asia or outside of the United States and the potential impact, and how do you plan your supply chain? How do you figure out, what the tariffs are going to be when the products are going to land? So there's a lot of just trying to help calm people down and come up with strategic roadmaps to be able to navigate this really challenging environment.
I think strategy and navigation and guidance, that's really, really what you both are such experts in, and why you're such great businesswomen and such great leaders. But how do you see the role of a board director evolving in today's business environment? What skills are most important for effective board service now?
Well, I think that, really, as I started to say earlier, the ability to be agile, the ability to have areas of expertise where you can provide guidance to the CEO and to the executive and leadership team, but also participate. Thoughtful board members ask questions. Rather than
I have a big smile on my face now because I've sat on board, and that is so true.
Yes. So I think that those qualities of really listening, so good listening skills, asking questions, preparing for the board meetings, and willingness to work with the executive team. You're on the board because you bring an expertise in an area. So that's a given. But the softer skills and how you approach the board role is really the difference between somebody who is a good or average board director and somebody who's really an exceptional board director and adds real value.
And I think building on that, being able to respectively challenge others when you're disagreeing with them, and so you can come to a collaborative decision, but being able to challenge others when you disagree, because you're there to for the best interest of the business and the shareholders, right? And so if you disagree with something and not just sitting back because maybe there's a board chair or directors have been there for a long time and you don't want to speak up. So it's really important that you don't have that group think, or that you have decisions of a few making it for everyone. And I think that kind of speaks to, sometimes people are really excellent operators and business leaders, but not necessarily great directors because they don't understand that feeling, that whole, I know, you mentioned the noses and fingers out, that whole collaborative decision making, and where they're not kind of getting their hands dirty. Right, they're taking that step back and really making sure that those are the right people, and I think that's on depending on how the board's structured, but who's involved in nominating and selecting the board directors. But I think too, you talk about you mentioned, I think, Helaine, the preparation. People that really prepare stand out because there's so much detail going on. Things are a lot more complicated, I think, than they used to be. And so going through the board materials before, so you can really get into those real meaty conversations and discussions that you need to have, versus spending time on some of the top level things that you should have prepared before. So a good board member is really prepared. And I think also has this kind of beyond a very basic level of all these issues that we're talking about, the AI and cybersecurity and risk management, and not just leaving that to sort of the experts in the room, but also making sure that you have a good understanding of what's happening, so you can contribute more actively to the discussion and make better decisions for the business.
Yeah, that's also very important. Alyssa, through your work, you talked on it a little bit, through your work at Point Road Group, you help leaders refine their personal brands and strengthen their leadership presence. Can you tell us about the Board Director Branding Guide and how it supports professionals pursuing board roles?
Sure. So we just published our third edition of this.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's based on our years of experience of working and, with executive coaching and branding for board directors. So we wanted to share all this information that we had. So it essentially provides strategies and tips for both current and aspiring directors on the ins and outs of a board search, optimizing your board resume and bio and LinkedIn, and really various ways to enhance your candidacy when you're seeking board opportunities. So it gives some insight into, clarifies what boards are looking for and how to position yourself, and certainly mentions common mistakes that directors make that can kind of impact their credibility or, cause them to miss opportunities. And then I think importantly, it provides actionable steps to differentiate yourself as a candidate and stand out, because the board search process is incredibly competitive.
Lisa, it's an outstanding guide, and it also reflects your work as the leader at Point Road Group. So I think it goes hand in hand, and congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's on our website on Point Road Group website under resources. It's just the Board Director Branding Guide. Anybody can download it.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Helaine, given your background working with consumer brands, what trends are you seeing in how companies are responding to shifting consumer expectations? How are business leaders responding to those changes?
I think today's consumer has their choice of zillions of places they can shop. Very easy, obviously, with everything online. So for brands and businesses, building customer loyalty is incredibly important. And what a customer looks for is your messaging personalized? Do I feel like you're speaking to me? Is it relevant? Also, what they do in terms of supporting nonprofit businesses and their give back is critically important, particularly with today's younger generation. So I think that a business needs to understand who their customer is and how to reach them, and then make sure they provide the best level of service. That's part of what I help them with in terms of making sure that regardless of the channel that the customer chooses to shop through, whether it's online, whether it is in the store, whether it's through an app, that it's the same excellent customer experience, which, again, customers have lots of choices, but brand loyalty is incredibly important, and building loyalty programs is also extremely important.
And Helaine, I've seen you work with companies over the years, and you have provided such great opportunity of your vast knowledge of building brands and consumer loyalty. And Suval Consultants really provides that expertise to your clients. So thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Touching a bit more on branding, Alyssa, what trends are you seeing right now in personal branding and maybe a little bit in executive coaching?
So on the coaching side, kind of touching some of the things that we mentioned, is we see a lot more where executives and leaders need that this extra support managing through change. So business change, leadership change, and through all the uncertainty, because of everything that's going on. It has a lot of impact on businesses, and there's that need to be nimble and change. So managing through change has become a much larger issue, as well as improving decision making, because there's so much more data out there and so many more tools. And how do you incorporate that into your role, into your operations, into your business, into your strategy? And then the last thing, which is probably the most important really, is improving communication. That seems to be a huge focus for us right now, because you have leaders and teams with, of course, different personalities, but because business is changing, whether it's through M&A, if there's private equity situations, we work with both, that when you have leaders coming in from different stages of the business, that the communication really needs to be strong, and it's definitely a hole that needs to be filled. So we're spending a lot of time with really varied types of companies on that, whether it's technology, professional services, manufacturing, real estate. It really runs the gamut. On the personal branding side, This is really, I feel like finally everybody's waking up and paying a little more attention to it. We've been talking about it for 10 years, but I think we see so many more people paying attention to, or wanting to pay attention, I should say, to their brands who never did before, especially CEOs, senior executives, business owners, because they never thought, this isn't for me. I think people used to associate it with a job search. And of course it's important for a job or board search, but it's important for an everyday business. So that's kind of by extension why we're seeing that also in more business in the employee branding side, because it's really just an extension of personal branding. And I think also that leaders are realizing that they are modeling behavior for their teams and that they actually need to do something about it. They can't just say everybody should be, great brand ambassadors and have good, strong personal brands if they're not doing it themselves. And I think the last trend that we're seeing is in board directors, where there's been so many people who have just thought that based on their, professional success, that would get them a board, that help them land a board seat, and that they're realizing that that's not enough, and that it's competitive, and that their brands need to stand out, and that they have to pay attention to a lot of the little things that that they never had to before.
I know you are both passionate about encouraging others to think about board service, especially women or underrepresented professionals. Just very quickly, can you give us one piece of advice for those people to take that first step?
Network. Build your network. It is critical. Preparation is also important with your board documents, preparing for board interviews, et cetera. But if you don't build your network, you're never going to get that opportunity.
So true. Oh boy, one thing. This could be another podcast episode for me. So this is really hard for me on this one. But I would say making sure you're really clear on your board value. That's like what you bring to the table as an individual, because that's the foundation for every networking conversation, your board documents, all those things. If you're not clear on it and you just sound generic like anybody else, then you won't stand out.
Well, thank you both for being here. We so appreciate you joining us on What's Trending. This has been an incredibly fascinating and in-depth look at what's shaping business and leadership. Thank you both for your expertise and your insight. Thank you again to our sponsor, Thompson & Bender, and thank you to our listeners. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Be sure to check out the BCW Podcast Network's expansive lineup of shows: Leadership Unleashed, What's Trending, Advocacy and Politics Unplugged, the Member Spotlight, and Nonprofit Voices of Impact. The Business Council of Westchester is the county's largest business membership organization focusing on economic development and advocacy. With over 1,100 members, it is our mission to work for the profitability of our members and the prosperity of the Westchester community. To learn more, go to thebcw.org.